What's good? What's good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with the Rock Never Stops. Yo, I'm excited about these Pistons. I know you are. I know we are. I know the world is becoming aware of who these Pistons are. I know a lot of people are trying to get on the bandwagon. They're trying to find space. They're trying to find room, not just on the Daniss Jenkins and Paul Reed bandwagon, but also just the Detroit Pistons in general. Remember, it's been since '04 since we won a championship. And remember, we went back to the finals the following year, losing to the San Antonio Spurs. It's been a minute since we've been them. It's been a minute since people have been looking over their shoulder for the Detroit Pistons. Feels damn good, doesn't it? Feels damn good, doesn't it? But it's also to say that as we move forward, a question that came to mind when I woke up this morning was, can the Pistons keep this up? Now, keep this up is really relative, right? Are they going to keep up a 70 plus win pace, right? Probably not. Probably not, right? Can they maintain this level of play? To be seen. To be seen. Can they continue to be a problem for the NBA? I would say hell yes. I would say hell yes. What's good, man? It's good to see you, GT, in the chat. In the chat, it's good to see you. I want to dive into what I think this roster construction is going to continue to look like. It may not be as sexy of a topic, right? Are the Pistons going to go 10 in a row? Can they, and they very well could. They very well could. Philly is good, but we already beat them. But they're going to want their lick back, so they're going to come with all the energy in the world. Indiana, they're still figuring themselves out. We should be able to beat them, no Tyrese Halliburton, but it all depends upon where they're at. They're finally getting their point guards back. Who knows? Who knows? So we could talk about how long the streak's going to last, and that could be a sexier topic. But I want to get into the grit of it because that's just who I am. I love coaching. I love development. That's my thing. Coaching development. I like seeing where someone is at and trying to grow them and scale them to maximize their talent or potential. All that's to say is I'm really intrigued by Daniss Jenkins and Paul Reed and where they are going to continue to progress to in terms of how this roster continues to develop. Remember, we're going to start getting guys back healthy, right? I'm not sure how far away Tobias Harris is, right? He's been gone for most of the season, most of this run. Even with the high ankle sprain, I didn't see him with the boot on. So I'm guessing he should be coming back relatively soon. Asar Thompson, well, he's got young legs. He should be back relatively soon. Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart. Now, Marcus Ashe and Jaden Ivey appear to be further out. So maybe there's more carved out minutes for a Daniss Jenkins. All that's to say is, what's their future going to be like on this team? When we get to December, when we get to January. GT wants to know if Sasha's wrapped up. I wouldn't say that at all. Wouldn't say that at all. Not at all. Because remember, injuries happen, right? Knock on wood. They're going to keep happening. It's just what it is. And I think Sasser is a damn good hooper. He just hoops. And that's rare in the NBA. There's guys who play basketball. There's guys who hoop, who actually hoop, right? Love the game. Want nothing more than just to hear the sound of the basketball bouncing on the court. Hear the sound of the ball going through the net, right? Some of us, we know that. You walk into a gym, you get out your car and you hear balls bouncing in the gym and you hear squeaking of shoes and it just makes your body relax and you feel like you're at home. That's rare in the NBA. There's a lot of guys you would be shocked in the NBA who would not be playing basketball if they weren't in the NBA. They'd be doing something else, right? Marcus Sasser is going to be fine. Now let me get to the topic. But before I get in this topic, smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but it's a big thing for the channel. It's a big thing for the channel. So I really appreciate all the love and support. When you hit that like button, when you hit subscribe, when you share this video, it actually hits the algorithm. It tells YouTube people like this channel. make sure that you get notified as soon as I go live. And it also says like to other Detroit Pistons fans, like, yo, hey, this brother's going live. So I appreciate every time you hit the like button. I appreciate every time you hit subscribe, you share the video, or you hit the bell for notifications, right? And also on there, you can put notify all, which means like whenever I post a short question, I'll be posting questions for you guys, to get into. Also answer all your chats, like all your not your chats in here, but your comments after I post a video. I don't know if y'all noticed that. I'll be in there. I'll be in there. You know what I mean? I appreciate this community that's forming. It's dope. I get a lot of joy. I get a lot of love from it. It also, man, it brightens the hell out of my day. If I'm honest, like sometimes days get mundane as you know what I mean? Like life be life, and bro. And sometimes it's like a life. It's like a life giving opportunity to just like talk my shit and enjoy the game, and you know talk about something that feels good. And these Pistons right now feel good as hell. Like this is dope, bro. This is dope. Like people don't understand. Like I don't know if any of you have ever played college ball. I played community college. I played 1 year and then I coached right after, um, at the same community college actually. And one of the significant differences between high school and college is that at the college level it becomes a job. Like when you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to get into the gym, sorry, into the locker room by like 5:15, 5:20, so you can get changed into your practice jersey and then see the trainer to get taped up so that you can be on the court ready to go by 5:45 for a 6 a.m. practice that ends anywhere between 8:30, 8:45 before your 9 o'clock, 9:15 class. Then you got to come back at 2 o'clock to do treatment before you put on your practice jersey again, and then you got to practice from 3 to 5, 5:30. That's if everything goes well. If it's not going well in practice, coach don't like it, you might stay till 6, 7, right? Then you still got to lift weights. You still got study hall. You still got more treatment. You still, like that's just college, bro. That's just college. I've had practices that have gone to like 9, serious, from 3 to 9 on the court, running. Coach is pissed, send you out to the track with an assistant. You run around the track a few miles. Then you come back, right? Running sprints, run you ragged, right? I've had practices after games, bro. After games, after games. I'm talking about road trip games, not home games. Road trips. Went to Monterey, messed around and lost a close one. I had a good game, but messed around and lost a close one. Came back, coach was heated. Said, "Don't nobody go to the locker room. Put your bags down right here. Get on the line." Right? That's road trip plus game, plus the road trip back. Then you get on the line and then you got to run, and then you're practicing for another 2, 3 hours, right? Just to get up the next day and do it again. It's crazy work. You put in a lot of work. Imagine what the NBA is like. Imagine what the NBA. Now it's easier because I also went to school full time and I also had a job, right? So I was hooping. I'd have to leave practice. I'd tell coach like, "Yo, work starts at 7:30. I gotta get out of here." You know what I mean? All this to say is these dudes put in crazy work. Daniss Jenkins has been putting in work. You listen to Downtown Deuce's interview with his trainer. Um, you gotta understand the work that was put in before any of us even knew who he was. Before any of us knew who he was, work was being put in. Work. Hours in the gym. Hours. On top of whatever else he had going on, whether he was working, he was wrapping up school, whether he was, traveling, trying to get to different workouts and, trying out for different teams. And, I don't even know if he went the Portsmouth invitational route and then got to go to the Chicago pre-draft camp. He may or may not have done that, but at the same time, they still bring in for workouts. So you might be flying around, traveling around. They might call you in the morning and say, "Hey, can you get here this evening to come to this workout because we heard about you, we liked you over here, we want to see you against this guy over here." Now, like the gauntlet of surviving, even just health wise, energy wise, just to get a call to get up, get on, land on someone's summer league roster, right? It's a grind, bro. Domo Davi was good, man. Man, I wish I was in the NIL era for college sports. It would have made life a little easier. Facts, bro. Facts. Yo, hey, telling you, bro, like things have changed, and I appreciate like it's part of the legacy of LeBron James. You have to understand that he's the one who brought in Governor Gavin Newsom in California to sign that NIL deal. The moment California signed that deal, it gave all those colleges a competitive advantage in recruiting over all the other universities. That's the blue bloods included. So Stanford, Cal, St. Mary's. You can go to what's the other ones? UCLA, USC, right? San Diego State. All these different universities have this competitive advantage because they can now pretty much pay these dudes. Pretty much. I mean, they figured out creative ways to get sponsors and donors and stuff like that to pay them indirectly, but it's through the school setting it up. Now they take a percentage too. All this to say is, um, once Governor Gavin Newsom signed that bill, almost every other state within I want to say a year's time signed it as well. Right, so it changed the game. Now guys are getting paid, which is really important because imagine if you're a number one recruit. Like remember, like someone like Scala BCA. Right? He was ranked above Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, great talent. Haitian brother, about 6'11", 7 feet, could shoot it, could handle it. Thought he was gonna be the next Karl Anthony Towns. The problem was he got played out of position in John Calipari's system. You wanted him to play on the interior, bang with big dudes. He was more of a finesse player, still hadn't put on the requisite weight, and he faded out of that system. He faded out of that rotation. Devastated his draft stock. Never recovered it. Got drafted, I think, at the end of the first round, was never able to stick around in the NBA. He might have made more money in college than he was ever going to make in the NBA. Imagine if he had NILs back then, he could have just stayed, right? Oh, my draft stock is down. I'm a late first rounder projection. I tell you what, I'm going to stay here in college, keep getting better, keep getting stronger, and get paid a couple million every year. Because on college, I could beast out. I can also leave Kentucky and go to some place like Mississippi State where Tolu Smith came out of, right? Or I can go to Arkansas. I can go to someone else who was looking at me who said, "Hey, we know what to do with your talent. We won't try to pigeonhole you into, a square peg when you're a circular hole." You know what I mean? It's like we can we can fit you better and you can find a better situation while getting paid. Right. So NILs is a big deal. So I'm always gonna shout out LeBron for that because these coaches, bro, these coaches used to trash you, bro. If I could tell you stories about, and I'm gonna get to Daniss Jenkins and Paul Reed. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna get there. But as I say, I can tell you stories about how coaches lie to players. I was in coaches' offices who were lying to players, telling them, "Oh yeah, you're gonna be our guy. You know, we have a spot for you to start right now. You're probably gonna be the one leading this team." And then they get off the phone, call somebody else an hour later, say the same thing. Both of them sign. Both of them come to our school. Um, right. And now there's 4 point guards. You thought you was gonna be the one. Nah, they're not just two. It's not even just three. 4 that you're competing with every day. Every day. You thought it was right. That's what they told you. So it's something to really reflect on. NILs and how it impacts players. Uh, all that to say is Paul Reed and Daniss Jenkins' journey has been tremendous. Paul Reed coming out of college, I'm not quite sure. Does anybody remember what college Paul Reed came out of? I think it was like St. John's or something like that. I feel like it was an East Coast college. Either way, he was an athlete, 6'8", extremely agile. Like his elite physical mobility gave him that ability where coming out of college, they were like, this dude might be able to play small forward. But he's strong enough, wiry strong enough, and has enough of a motor and nose for the ball to maybe play some small ball center. And he eventually settled into that center power forward combo, but he had to start in the G League. and he would dominate in the G League. I think he won G League MVP. And then eventually got called up to Philadelphia 76ers and was able to get consistent playing time because of injuries, Joel Embiid, of course. And then he just got into the good graces of Doc Rivers, who generally doesn't play young guys unless they're really ready. And Paul Reed was able to accept his role. He went from being the man in college, and all of a sudden, he's this role player who has to just fit between superstars, really. I think they had James Harden, they had Ben Simmons, they had throughout his tenure there, they had Joel Embiid, of course, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, right? They had like dudes who were solidified, who were, you know what I mean? And all of a sudden he's having to figure out how to fit. And many times that's the hardest thing to do. I remember that was hard for me to do in college. Like I would always play point guard. I could hoop, I could shoot, I could drop dimes, I can get to the rack. And I remember I had this really big game. Who was it against? I think it actually was against Santa Cruz when they came to our house. We had a bunch of injuries, and I was finally going to get some playing time. Um, and all of a sudden, I had this big game. Um, I think I had like 14 and 7, right? Shot like 5 or 7 or something like that. Which is like really big in college. Uh, and then all of a sudden, the very next game, the coach was like, "Oh, we're gonna put you at shooting guard." I was like, "Huh? You gonna take the ball out of my hands?" It threw me off. It threw me off. Like, I felt disappointed. I was like, "Bro, you don't trust me?" I'm, like, reading into the situation. I didn't really have a coach mindset to be like, "No, the coach is trying to figure out how to keep you in the game and keep giving you minutes even when these other guys get back." I didn't know that at the time. So I'm frustrated. I'm like, "Bro, I'm out here hooping, I'm balling, and you out here playing me, bro. You playing me, bro." For Paul Reed, he had to reinvent himself. And what's kinda crazy is he's almost inventing himself, or I should say he's reinventing his reinvention, right? He went from being the man in college. He has to carve out a role and prove himself in the G League, then gets moved up to the big squad in Philly, carves out this role of just a hustle guy, defender, energy guy, high motor, grab rebounds, maybe block a shot or two, finish around the rim as best as you can, set good screens, right? Which is like significant. It's no small role, right? It's you have to constantly be on. You got to be on it. You got to be in the right position on defense. See your man and the ball. Make the right rotation. Take the charge in the chest. Box out consistently. Get the rebound. Fight for the board. Every single board you got to fight for, because every one you don't get is an affirmation of why you don't belong. Every rotation you miss, every bunny layup you miss, you better get that offensive rebound and finish it. You see how hard he works. That's why I like G League guys. G League guys, when they come in ready. They come in with the mindset. They're like, yo, I got to prove it on every single play. Sometimes you get guys who are a little bit more talented, who can also sometimes appear to be a little bit more entitled. Got people like, I'm not going to say Duran has been entitled. I'm saying that he has not always had the mindset of every single play. I'm locked in. Every single play, I'm doing the right thing. I have to prove something, right? Just to get in the door. Duran's been in the door since day one. He was starting as a rookie. So it's just a different mindset. So Paul Reed has had to reinvent himself to be this role player, but then he's also had to reinvent himself for this team this year in this rendition. I say that to say he understood the assignment that this team had other front court players who can do multiple things. He had Jalen Duran, Isaiah Stewart at the center position, right? You better be able to do more than just what he was doing in Philly if you're going to earn minutes with or in spite of those guys. So he has had to round out his skill game, not just working on his jump shot, but having the confidence to take it. There are guys in the NBA who can shoot, but in the game, they hesitate. Think Ben Simmons is an extreme of it. Guy is so confident in so many other areas, right? He's grabbing rebounds, setting the table, facilitating full-time point guard, and all of a sudden he switches it up, and now he's scared to shoot. kind of weird, bro. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Um, but not everyone is confident to grow their game in that manner. Paul Reed is not only had to work on that thing so that when he does take it, it looks good. Let's keep in mind the biggest test is when you miss or when you miss badly, like he did against the Wizards, I believe it was. I think he hit the side of the backboard or it airballed, but he kept shooting it. He kept shooting it. Right? That's what makes him special. That's what makes his mentality special. One second. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose real quick. Hang on. Like I said, I keep it real. I ain't gonna pause the video, edit all that shit. Nah. Um, look, Paul Reed, his mentality is special. His mentality is why he has carved out a career in the NBA. His mentality, his mindset is the reason why we're looking at him and probably gonna say, like, can you play power forward? You know what I mean? Like, can you legitimately play power forward? That is a real conversation right now. Yo, if you can shoot threes, if you can hit mid-range jump shots, if you can attack off the dribble, which he still needs to improve on. I replied to someone's comment about that. He loses a bit of court awareness when he puts the ball on the floor. He's got to have that college mindset where you have 1 to 2 dribbles to get to the rim. Anything more than that, the defense is going to collapse and take the ball from you. Yeah, so you should be right into your pivot game by that second dribble. All right, spin, pivot, up and under. If you ain't got it, kick it out. But if you're going to take 2 dribbles and you get to the rim, you better have a finishing move. Otherwise, what was the point? All this to say is that Paul Reed has shown that he can develop his game so much so that it's challenging JB to now have to figure out a role for him, an ongoing role, a consistent role that is going to take away minutes from other guys. It's going to take away minutes from uh, Ron. It's going to take away minutes from Asar, from Cade, and not in a bad way. Not as if those guys aren't good. It's just to say if you got Paul Reed at 6'8", who can defend probably from a small forward to a center, and he rebounds the way he does, he's knocking down shots, and he's got the 7'3" wingspan with a great motor and more experience. He's going to serve you better playing power forward than Ron Holland. He just is. He just is. He just is. It's just the reality. At the end of the day, this is a good problem for the Detroit Pistons to have. It's a great problem. It is the problem that Trajan Langdon has made sure JB Bickerstaff and his staff were always going to have to deal with. Finding minutes for so many good players. That is a wonderful problem to have. That is a wonderful problem to have. This ain't finding minutes for guys who you know aren't a part of your future. This isn't finding minutes for guys that you got to bring up out of the G League because you got too many injuries or your team is tanking. This is, oh, is it just me? Oh, that's what's up. Got the stats for me. Appreciate that. Paul Reed, 6'9", 210 pounds out of DePaul University. Yeah, East Coast, right? But here's the thing. He ain't no 210 pounds no more. Boy done got in the weight room. He's at least around 230, 235, if not 240. Like he's strong. He's solid. Let me just say this. The rotations are going to have to adjust to what these two players have shown you in these past 2 performances. Paul Reed, more ongoing in terms of proving himself. But now you got to look at Paul Reed to say, what happens when Duren, Stewart, Tobias Harris all get back and they're playing in the front court? and Asar Thompson, who also plays in the front court at times. And even Ron Holland plays in the front court at times. And I'm not even going to get to Bobby Clement because you, as good, I love your energy, but you're not as aware as Paul Reed. You still need another seasoning with the main club, which you didn't have last year because you were in the G League. Granted, it's fair. And you got time. You got plenty of time. All it's to say is when those other guys get back, I think Paul Reed is going to play power forward. Straight up. I think we're going to see Jalen Duren, and we're going to see Stewart hold down the center positions. We're going to see Tobias Harris, Paul Reed at the power forward positions, Asar and Ron Holland at the small forward positions. And this is where it gets interesting. We got Cade. We have Ivy. When Ivy gets back, he will start. He will start. If not immediately, quickly. I don't think they bring him back until he's 110% ready for that specific reason. But once he gets back, he's starting. And that is going to impact the minutes at that point. When it comes to Daniss Jenkins, right now we're starting. What's the nickname I gave him? What's the nickname I gave? D-Rob. D-Rob, Duncan Robinson. Right now, D-Rob is starting for us. And then you got Cade. But then when Ivy comes back and D-Rob comes off the bench, he's going to then be kind of sandwiched between Ron Holland, and Karis LeVert. And then now we have Daniss Jenkins. And don't be fooled, we also have Marcus Sasser, along with Jaden Ivey. You have to understand, JB Bickerstaff is old school. He's old school. He respects veterans. He respects pecking orders. It's not just about the guy you want to see because he excites you. It's the guy who's been here, who's put in work that many times gets unseen to us. The sacrifices that they make, the time with the training staff in the weight room, the shots they put up, how long they've been biding their time and waiting for their opportunity. You don't just quickly give those minutes to the next exciting guy because they have a couple of good games. And it doesn't diminish those good games. It's just to say you don't just quickly leapfrog the ladder. But it also doesn't mean that the guy who was there doesn't have to look over his shoulder, not in a as if you're pitted against each other, but more so like a competitive striving with one another to play as great as you can. How good can you be? How good can you be? How good can you be? Right? I've seen Marcus Sasser make really good passes. I would still say Daniss Jenkins is a better facilitator. I've seen Marcus Sasser make really good reads off the pick and roll. I think he might be on par, pick and roll wise, with Daniss Jenkins in terms of facilitating. If Daniss Jenkins might be a tiny bit better, but I've seen Marcus Sasser make great passes. However, when it comes to shot making, shot creation, I would say by far Marcus Sasser is better. Defensively, though, both are good on ball point of attack, but I think Daniss Jenkins is taller. He's bigger. So at 6'3", gives you a little bit more than 6'1", 6'2". And his vertical pop. You see Daniss Jenkins challenge at the rim. His ability to challenge shots. That vertical gives him a leg up. So you're going to start playing positionally based upon who you're facing. What can he give me on any given night? To be honest, if Daniss Jenkins keeps this up, I think he will edge out Marcus Sasser eventually. because of his positional size and the role that's needed. If Karis LeVert is out, they might need Marcus Sasser's shot creation more because I don't think Ron Holland is a consistent shot creator at this point. He's still get out in transition, straight line drive type of a guy. But if you have Karis LeVert, who's an elite shot creator, you need a Daniss Jenkins next to him to balance that out, more so than you would need a Marcus Sasser. These are how the minutes are going to get played with. This is how things are going to get orchestrated in the coach's office, right? When they're looking at the depth chart, they're looking at who's available and positioning guys. If and when this team gets fully healthy, though, when they get fully healthy, when they get the full accompaniment, when they get to February and March, and they've got Cade and Ivy rolling, Asar, Tobias, Duran, that five is going to be scary. Absolutely scary. And there's a video I'm going to do pretty soon. Is it time that we start talking about the Pistons as legitimate contenders to get out of the East this year? I really had to sit with that question this morning as well. Can they be legitimate title contenders? This is not just a team who can beat good teams. This is a team that might be getting ready by the end of this season to beat the best teams in a series. If they're fully healthy, right? Knock on wood, right? Injuries happen. If this team is fully healthy going into the playoffs, who can't they beat? Who can't they beat? I think all of us have high expectations for Jaden Ivey when he comes back. High expectations for Cade and Asar and Duran, Stu, right? Now even Daniss. I really don't have as high of expectations for Ron because it's all up here for him. The game has to slow down. He has to slow it down and be intentional about his energy and his focus. He still has another year to go at least before we really start evaluating what he can be. All this to say is, by the end of the season, though, imagine a Cade and Ivy playing next to each other. Right? It's still something that we only kind of really dream about, especially when you add Asar Thompson. And then you add this rendition of a Jalen Duran. This rendition of a Jalen Duran. Tobias Harris. Playing with these guys. This team is going to be scary. Stu off the bench. Reed off the bench. Karis, Duncan, Ron, Jenkins, Sasser. The one team that concerns you is Cleveland. I got Domo Davi in the chat. You read this. Only because we seem to struggle at times with their front court size. I don't think we struggle with their front court size when our front court is healthy. If we got Duran, Stu, Tobias, and Paul Reed at our disposal, plus Asar Thompson and Ron Holland, I don't think that we struggle with their size. In fact, I think they will struggle with our interior physicality. That will be the match. Their length versus our physicality. Yes, they're going to be taller no matter what. Is Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen ready for the physicality of Duran and Stewart? It's going to be a bit of a chess match. I think that would be an all-time great playoff series, if nothing else because of the storyline behind it. All right. Cleveland didn't think JB Bickerstaff could get them over the hump. A lot of criticism in developing Evan Mobley, which I said was unfair because a lot of Evan Mobley's pace of development had far more to do with Evan Mobley than it did JB Bickerstaff. Right. Evan Mobley was just skinny. Until he got stronger, he was going to struggle. We all knew that. And then once he got stronger, developed his skill, he was going to have to grow his confidence to do those things at this level. Right? It was going to take him a while. Everyone knew that. But somehow JB Bickerstaff got the blame. Now they say Donovan Mitchell didn't want him there. Who knows? Who knows? All that's to say is in a playoff series, that's going to be one hell of a storyline. It's going to be the old guard, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and this new guard, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey. I can't wait to see Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell try to stay in front of Jaden Ivey. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Teams right now, man, I wish I had more energy to be more like enthusiastic about, but I don't even want to. I don't even want to overdo it. I just want to sit back and let it happen. When the league has to contend with a Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham backcourt, complemented by Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren, the league is going to be looking at them like, what the hell do we do with this? What do we do with this? And it's really going to come down to guys settling into their roles, settling into a very simple role. Very simple. That really is where good teams become great. We have enough talent to then have a simpler role. It starts here, and then these are the things that my team is expecting me to do. I don't have to do everything. I'm not expected to do everything. Cade, you don't have to do everything. Ivy, you don't have to do everything. Asar, Duren, right? You guys don't have to do everything. Lock in on your role. Master that. Playing to your strengths. And then you put it all together. And that's when they become scary. That's when the Detroit Pistons becomes. That's when we start having real conversations about them being a championship contender. But I'm not going to have that conversation until after the new year. I mean, I may get sucked into the convo before then, especially if they keep up this pace, right? Because if they beat Philly, there's a good chance they beat Indiana, and then that's 10 in a row, right? That's 10 in a row. All this to say is, this team has so much talent, but as I've been saying, this team's greatest challenge is up here. Focus. Focus. It's not here. It's not here anymore. Duren is showing me this, finally, because I was questioning this. I was questioning this earlier in the year. And I was like, hey, bro, you can't struggle up here and here. You can't struggle in both. Figuring this out, the energy to show up night in and night out, the determination to stay in the game, the mindset to stay in the game. What am I being asked to do? What's my role right now? How do I stay available for my team? Figuring this out is big. As this team settles into who they are, bro, it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary. I'm not scared of Cleveland. I'm not scared of Cleveland. Now, a healthy Cleveland team, let's be honest, Cleveland, this rendition of this team has never been healthy in the playoffs. Ever. Ever. In the Darius Garland, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell era, they have never been healthy in the playoffs. Either it's Garland hurt, either it's Mobley hurt, Jarrett Allen. I don't think Donovan Mitchell's been hurt. Oh, yeah, I think Donovan Mitchell was also hurt. Right? They are always hurt. So we've never seen them fully healthy. So, I'll give them a little bit more kudos. I'll say if they're fully healthy and we're fully healthy, that's a 6 to 7 game series. That's a great series. And they've got one of the best closers in the game in Donovan Mitchell. They got one of the best takeover players. And I would say, and this is where I would rank Donovan Mitchell over Cade Cunningham in terms of being a superstar, is that Donovan Mitchell can be a superstar for all 4 quarters. It's rare that you see Cade Cunningham be a superstar all 4 quarters. It's rare. I don't think we've seen it this season yet, that Cade put together a complete game. Luka Doncic, Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards. These guys regularly put together superstar level games for all 4 quarters and then close you out. They know when to turn it on. They know how to turn it on. SGA, Jokic, they're superstars for the whole game, not just at the very end. And if anything, that's where Cade's area of growth is. I keep telling you, he has to get his go-to move. He has to figure out a spot on the court that I'm going to shoot 80 to 90% here. Yeah, that is from experience with Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell is also, he's different, bro. He's different. Remember when he came out of Louisville and he was in Utah, Gordon Hayward got hurt that first year. And they moved him into that starting lineup and said, we need you to be a dynamic, playmaking, scoring lead guard for us. And he said, say less. And he was dominating from day one in that role. They needed him to control the pace of the game. They needed him to assert himself. And I think he has a different motor. Donovan Mitchell has a different motor. Cade Cunningham really does take a while to get himself going. Sometimes he looks great. Sometimes he struggles mightily. Yo, Dom Davi, I appreciate the super chat, my brother. I appreciate the 20-piece. Salute to you. I'm going to pause like I say I will do and get to your comment here. Dom Davi with the super chat says, Ivy comes back and continues that 40% three-point percentage. The emergence of Jenkins behind him and Cade, no team in the East that'll concern me. I doubt it would happen, but only Giannis going nuclear in the playoffs could stop us. Damn, bro. Damn. Y'all, what do you think about Dom Davi's comment? Damn, I got to sit with that. A rotation of Cade, Ivy, Jenkins. I would include Sasser and Karis LeVert in terms of offensive firepower. Shad Walker, good to see you in the chat, brother. Yeah, real solid. Now, I would say that's a hot take. That's a straight up hot take. Fully healthy, there's not a squad that worries me. Yeah, Ghost Keeper. I think Stu would slow down Giannis. I think a healthy Isaiah Stewart with Duran behind him could slow down Giannis. You add in Asar Thompson flying around on the weak side, digging down on drives. We have the length and the size to form that wall. I would give us healthy. This is all barring health, right? Knock on wood. Everybody's healthy. I would say it still goes 6 games, but I think the Pistons pull it out. I would say Cade Cunningham is a better closer than Giannis, but here's the asterisk. Here's the asterisk for Milwaukee. And if y'all follow my channel, you know I got love for Milwaukee and what they're doing over there. I think it's legit. There was an interview with Rajon Rondo. I think he was on Thanasis Antetokounmpo's podcast, and he's talking about coaching. Rondo is a hell of a coaching mind. He is a hell of a coaching mind. He's a hell of a coaching mind. I think he was in the same draft as Jarrett Jack, who's on our bench, along with Raymond Felton, Chris Paul, Darren Williams. He was in that draft. Point guard, probably one of the greatest point guard drafts of all time. I don't think we'll ever see an era of point guards like that again. Rondo has got Ryan Rollins right. 6'4", defensive minded, playmaker, shot maker, who's just making all the right plays, but he's also showing the propensity to lead, much in the way that Rajon Rondo used to. How to communicate. Yeah, most good point guards make good coaches. Most. I don't know about Steve Kerr. but he wasn't a point guard. He was a shooting guard. Um, all to say, and I don't mean to throw a stray at Steve Kerr. It is what it is. Who cares? He's got a championship. He's got Steph. He's good to go. I would be concerned about Kevin Porter Jr. coming all the way back. I think to the extent of the impact that Jaden Ivey can have for our team coming back, Kevin Porter Jr. can have just as big of an impact for these Milwaukee Bucks. If Kevin Porter Jr. comes back right, like ready to go, still having Rajon Rondo in his ear, his level of shot creation and playmaking is elite. Is elite. While his athleticism is right there with Jaden Ivey's. Right there. But his handle, his passing, his shot creation is that like Cade. He's just not as big as Cade. But he's 6'5". That dude could be problems for us. Now, I would still say if I put Asar Thompson on him, I'm betting on Asar. And if we got Stu on Giannis. But it's just to say that that team is a well-oiled machine. AJ Green, Gary Trent Jr. Those shooters, those guys know their roles, and they execute it. Kyle Kuzma's coming around. Miles Turner, he always fades in the playoffs anyways, but still. Bobby Portis will round into shape. He's playing better and better. That team is not going to be an easy out. And this is where in the playoffs it really becomes about matchups. Who you're matched up against. You hope that your first round matchup is your cakewalk, is your 5 to 6 game series. Get them up out of there so you can rest for that semifinals. Because once you get to the semifinals, I always say this. If you're in the semifinals, you are considered a contender. Because the difference between a semifinals team and a conference finals team is very marginal. Anything can sway. An injury, a game winner, right? A key turnover, right? All these things, a bad call, somebody getting thrown out, suspension, right? Anything can sway. They're not that far. And so your goal is hopefully to have this is why teams fight for that for that number 1 and number 2 seed. To get a 7th and 8th seeded team that just came out of the play-in tournament. Because those teams pretty much are barbecue chicken. You haven't become consistent enough. You don't have the talent. It's not a slight. It's just a reality. You don't have the depth. You don't have the shot making. You don't have the star power. Maybe you still beat yourself in certain ways. Maybe you're just limited. That's who you're hoping to get in round 1 and round 2. And so you can just outpace them and then win each game, close them out, close them out, close them out. That's what you're hoping for. But when you're a number 3, 4, 5, 6 seeded team, it's like, damn, now you got to face a real team. You got to face a real team. The Knicks did not want to have to face the Detroit. Well, they did want the Detroit Pistons because they knew that we still beat ourselves and we were too young to understand the moment and what was needed to win. Though we had the talent, but it still took something out of them to come out of that series. You're trying to remain as intact as possible coming out of a playoff series to go into the next. I don't know if the Detroit Pistons can maintain this pace to end up as a 1 or 2 seed in the East. But right now, the way it's looking is that they're going to be good enough to potentially walk out of this season as a number 3 seed, 4 seed, because the way Orlando is playing, still trying to figure themselves out. I keep saying they're better with Anthony Black, but they probably need to make a trade again for Wendell Carter Jr. From the Chicago Bulls, sending Wendell Carter to the Bulls and go get Vucevic and make Vucevic a stretch center and let Wendell Carter defend the rim in Chicago. That wouldn't necessarily help us out, but it's to say they need a stretch center. They also need to speed things up. Orlando just has a lot to figure out. I don't think they're going to be able to catch up. They got some great top end talent, but they need to reorient who they are. They got to play at a faster pace. They've got to buy in to letting Anthony Black run the show and facilitate. Um, they're just a team that's just figuring it out, and I don't know if they'll be able to figure it out in time to really catch up to the pace that the Detroit Pistons are setting right now. In spite of their injuries, continuing to set the pace. I think right now the Detroit Pistons could walk into a number 3 seed comfortably, comfortably. But they have got to continue to stay locked in. I know the culture, I know the identity is great, amazing, right? That's why they keep showing up the way that they are and they keep getting these wins. They've got talent, incredible talent. They are an incredibly talented team, without a doubt, but they still beat themselves. They still forget the little things. See, you're man in the ball, you're getting beat on backdoor cuts, right? Uh, uh, you're doing a great job, Bobby Clement, closing out on the perimeter, making the rotation, moving your feet, retreating as they try to drive. You drive them to the baseline, and just before they shoot, you put your hands down on them and you foul. Now you get called for the push. You did all that great work just to get called for the foul. Ron Holland's still playing defense with his hands instead of his feet, getting caught for that little hand around the back, pulling on him. And then he gets shocked when it gets seen. It's like, bro, you're doing it every time. You're doing it every time. Veterans know where the refs are, and they know how much they can get away with. You're putting that hand around their waist just enough to keep them off balance to give you an advantage, but you can't leave it there. If you leave it there, especially as they're getting ready to shoot, the refs are looking for that, and you're going to get called. So you got to learn how to play with your hands. But mostly it starts with your feet, right? We're still working on those things. We're still working on the fouls and the technicals and the turnovers, trying to do too much. Paul Reed, you get 1 to 2 dribbles, not 3 and 4, bro. Right? Ron Holland, stop stepping on the out of bounds line. Right? These are things that the best teams they just check off. We just don't. We don't do these things. We don't beat ourselves. We make our free throws, Cade. We make our free throws. Right? You know how to show up for all 4 quarters. Right? So this is the difference. If the Pistons are going to truly get to that number 3 seed, which I think they can. I think there's a good chance they will. They've got to stop beating themselves. It's the same thing I said with Jalen Duren. So you don't always have to make the big play. If you stop trying to make the big play, make the steal, get the deflection, right? Get the block, and just be content with being in position. Be content with being in the right spot. Be content with doing the things it takes to make the game hard on the other team and trusting your other teammates to help you. You're moving your feet in position, maintain your verticality. If you're in position, okay, try to make a play, but don't compromise your position to try to make the play. And trust, if you don't make the play, you got a teammate who will. You have a teammate who will. This is how the best teams beat you. They just keep making it harder and harder and harder. Isaiah Hartenstein, he moves his feet. Chet Holmgren comes in and makes the block. SGA moves his feet. LeGuin's Dort digs in on the weak side, gets the steal. Dort's moving his feet. Casey Wallace slides in. Casey Wallace is sliding his feet. Alex Caruso steps in the passing lane. Right? That's how the best teams play defense. I don't always have to make the big play. This is where they talk about making the hockey assist, right? Where it's like you weren't the pass that led to the shot, but you were the pass that led to the pass that led to the shot. Sometimes defense is played that way as well. You may not have been the person who got the block, but you were the guy who made the rotation and was in position with their hands up that allowed someone else to come in behind them and get the deflection and get the steal. That's where the Pistons have to grow to up here. All this to say is that Daniss Jenkins' revelation, Paul Reed's ascension, And I'll call it an ascension because he's looking more and more like a rotation guy that we can't just sit back on the bench. He's looking like a guy that even as we're fully healthy, you're going to look at Ron and you're going to be like, Ron, your minutes might shrink a little bit. They might. They might have to. They might have to. Because the reality is your team has to play into its strengths and its physicality and ability to control the glass, score in the interior while not surrendering three-point shooting or athleticism to get out in transition. Right? But then that's also going to impact guys like Duncan Robinson. Because if you're fully healthy and you got Ivy's a 40% three-point shooter, Duncan Robinson's role shrinks coming off the bench. But if his role is shrinking coming off the bench, Karis LeVert, who can still hit threes, Daniss Jenkins can hit threes, Marcus Haskett, right now you're looking at, well, who gives you more than just threes? And if Ron Holland is hitting threes by the end of the season, I think Duncan Robinson might get squeezed out. D-Rob goes back to Duncan. Right? And he's waiting for his moment to stay ready. So these are all great problems to have. These are all great problems to have. Right? And I think that leads perfectly to the word of the day. I appreciate everybody being in the chat. Appreciate everybody showing up today. Appreciate my man with the super chat. Those things do not get understated, unnoticed. That's real love. That's real love. I appreciate it. I also love the comment because I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. For a while. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Domo Davi, Devro87, Mark Wood, 3440. I got Terag in the chat. Rashad Walker, what's good? Welcome to the chat. Mark Wood, of course. Who else I see up in here earlier? The Beetle Baby, what's good? GT Entertainments, yo, always love seeing you in here, man. Ghost Keeper. We see who else? 360 Will in the chat. Juan Harris, Rashad Walker. Who else I see earlier in here? I'm gonna give a shout out to. Where's he at? He's always in here showing love. I want to make sure I recognize him as well. Sandro. Always up in here too. And or is it just me insight? Yep. What's good? Frank Nitty is good to have seen you in the chat, my boy. Billups, 04 Billups. It's good to see you in the chat, my man. And get to the top. There was a few more I felt like we had up in here. But hey, everybody who came through the chat, appreciate you. Smash the like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Let's get to this word of the day. Good problems to have. Some of y'all don't understand. It's what I call privilege problems. Right? I was seeing this. I mean, it might be a little crass, but it is what follow me on it. I was dating. I've had, I've been fortunate. I like thick women. I like curvy, I like athletic build, curvy, kind of thick. Right. I mean, who doesn't? But it's shorty I was seeing had like double D's. And her back sometimes would be aching. And shoulder impingement, tightness here, and she would complain about my back. And I would tell her, like, baby, those are privilege problems. Those are privilege problems. You're dealing with things that problems other people wish they had. Wish they had. Wish they had. You know what I mean? So I didn't mind giving her back massages all the time. Massage here in the shoulders, get that, loosen her up. Man, player status, right? You give your lady a good massage, but man, especially I'm gonna give y'all a game. I'm gonna give y'all a game. Try it tonight. Try it tonight or this weekend with your lady. If you in cis hetero relationships, actually it works. It works just in relationships. Period. Give your partner a massage. Give them a massage. But here's the key: it can't be sexual. This is game. I'm giving y'all a game. I'm giving y'all a game. Giving y'all a game, and I'm gonna get back to the word of the day about privilege problems. Some problems are good to have, and we gotta acknowledge it. Give your partner a back rub. Don't make it sexual. You can have fun. You can laugh. You can giggle. All that stuff, right? Do a little affectionate stuff, but don't make it sexual. Don't ask for the sex in the action. Separate it. Separate it. Just give them a really good massage. Get between the shoulder blades, up here on the neck, right? Shoulders, arm, hand, lower back. Stuff that just aches by the end of the week, you know, standing up, all that stuff. Give them a massage. I guarantee you, afterwards, the level of affection coming from your partner will jump. They go from a 3 to an 8. Because when you create the space for sexual intimacy without looking to extract from that space, then it becomes someplace that's safe for your partner to step into. Right? This is like the whole psychology. Y'all know my background is in counseling psychology, right? In relationships. I work with couples and stuff like that too. But it's to say, when you create space, safety for an individual to step into that level of intimacy, they tend to already want to. All you did was set the table. Most people are hungry by the end of the day, by the end of the week. But when you put food on the stove and set the table, it's not hard to go sit down and eat, right? Some of us, we want to eat straight out the pot. Right? A partner just come into the front door, and now you already trying to get you some. They tired, bro. They tired. Set the table. All right, that's just game. That's game. Take it. Let me know how that work out for you this weekend. Some of our problems in life are good for us. Some of our problems in life, and this is the word of the day, right? Don't look at all problems as bad. And really, problems many times, I reframe it as conflicts or an opportunity for growth. In business, one of the things that I learned is that businesses look for opportunities for failure. They want to test and know their limitations so that then they can then begin to imagine expansion, trying to go beyond those limitations. And so they try new things. They try a lot of new things. And in doing so, they're going to fail more. But the failure also precipitates an opportunity to get stronger, to grow. Remember, nothing grows without stress and failure. When your bones break, they actually grow back stronger if they're set correctly. As you're a little baby, you're a little kid, you're learning to walk. You fail over and over and over and over again. And that's actually how you develop the muscles and the strength in your legs to be able to stand up and walk. Anything in life you've ever done, you've had the problems of failure. You've had the adversity of struggle, of stress and strain, but it's your mindset. It's your mindset. And I know the older we get, the more complicated it gets because some of our failures mean more to us. They start to really land like, damn, this relationship, my family, my career, work, housing, right? Food security, which is a big thing right now. Some things tend to mean more and more the older we get, but it's the mindset though. I remember one day, uh, my sister told me, she said, if you give someone the power to feed you, you give them the power to starve you. Talking about societally. If you're dependent upon someone to feed you, you're also giving them the power to starve you once they stop. And a lot of us are experiencing that. This also, based on your mindset, could also be an opportunity for you to gain a level of autonomy in your life. What does it look like to grow food? I got an avocado tree right outside my window. It's huge, it's massive, it's over 3 stories high. Sitting on this tree right now has to be easily over 100 to 150 avocados right now. Right now. Avocados in California are mad expensive. They sell for anywhere from $1, $2 each. Um, they got deals like 2 for $4, 3 for $5. That's one tree. Many of us don't notice open soil when we walk down the block. Yeah, free guac. I make guacamole all the time, bro. All the time. All the time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna show y'all something real quick. Cause my neighbor's hella dope. Every once in a while, me and my daughter will see him, and he'll slide us some avocados off the tree. He's got one of those extenders, and he brought us a couple just the other day. See these things? Massive, bro. Massive. Massive. It's from one tree. From one tree. How many of us imagine 150 of these right now on a tree? Right now. How many of us walk along the sidewalk and see open soil? Nothing growing there. Got front lawns, nothing growing there. Backyards, nothing growing there. And we could plant a seed. Now, you want to get organic seeds that reproduce more seeds, right? You want to make sure, I would recommend find someone who's already growing on their property. Ask them for one. People are very generous because there's just too much. Whether it's peaches, whether it's pears, plums, apples, oranges, tangerines, tomatoes, whether it's lemons, limes. Shout out to limes that have more vitamin C than lemons. Also better in dishes. All right, go plant something. Go say, no matter what, I know I got this. Buy you some organic ginger, put it in a pot, nice large pot, and just start growing you mad ginger. Never be fully dependent. But these are problems when you've never been taught this. It's also an opportunity for growth. It's also an opportunity to get better, to position yourself where you want to be, instead of depending upon something else to ensure that you're there. So that's the word of the day. Not all problems are bad. Not all problems are wrong. Sometimes some problems are meant to grow you and push you in the direction that you need to go. Yo, it's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Love and appreciate all of y'all. Real talk, all the love I receive in the chat. I always try to get to your comments. Damo Davi, appreciate the love, bro. I always do. The super chat, amazing. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. I truly do. And that comment, I'm really going to have to really think about what this team looks like fully healthy by April, because that's what we're playing for. That's what we're playing for. March, April, not November, December. But when we get healthy, when we get right, who can't we beat? That is a real question. That might be tomorrow. That might have to be a short video I do. Because who can't we beat if we're healthy? If we're fully healthy, at full strength, who can't we beat? Yo, I gotta go. I'm gonna get at y'all later. I appreciate y'all. Have an amazing day. Remember, love yourself, love somebody else, laugh as hard as you can, live life to the fullest. Love and appreciate y'all. Peace.